Headphones or monitors? Which should you do? Is one better than the other? Does it matter? These are all valid questions. We're going to talk about it, so let's go. Yo, what's good, guys? Inswain with Inswain Audio. Welcome back. If you're new, subscribe and stick around because I drop bangers like this every day. You don't want to miss them, but I'm not going to waste your time anymore. Let's talk about this. So a lot of people ask this question because monitors are kind of the norm or the standard, and more people think that that's the way you should go. And maybe that is, we'll get to that. But the reason that people ask this question is because sometimes they can't afford monitors or it's not realistic, which we're also going to talk about. So they want to go the headphone route. So really the question is, are headphones okay to mix with? First things first, I want to say the most important decision to make between headphones and monitors is your preference. If you are good at mixing in headphones, mix in headphones. If you like it, do that. If you're good and you like monitors, do that. It's so much more important that you enjoy the experience and it's what you're used to than which one is technically better, if there is one that's better than the other. And if you don't believe that it really doesn't matter that much, take a look at Andrew Scheps. If you don't know him, he's one of the most famous mix engineers. Adele, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Metallica, I'm not even sure. Just an extensive list of credits. And he works mostly in headphones now. And that's just one example. I'm sure there's more. And obviously, there's plenty of examples of engineers that use monitors with successful songs. So maybe it doesn't really matter all that much. It's what works for you. And it's about how good of an engineer you are, not what your setup is. But let's talk about the nuances of it. So one of the biggest issues or hurdles with monitors is the room, your environment that you're mixing in, or you're making music in, mastering, whatever. With monitors, the sound travels from the monitors to your ears and then travels beyond you, bounces off the walls or doesn't, right? So you need to treat the room around you. There's a whole field of this, the physics of how sound travels and trying to control the room to get a good response so that there's not too many reflections, etc. This isn't my area of expertise, but I understand the concepts of it and that it's important. So with monitors, you also have to consider the room or the environment. Headphones, you don't. Headphones essentially remove the room, right? They're going right over your ears and the sound is going directly into your ears and not traveling through the room. So theoretically, you could hear the same through your headphones in any of the rooms in your house. Or even if you're outside, right? Obviously, if you're somewhere super noisy, like they use the example of an airplane, if the noise is louder than you're mixing or you're hearing that noise, obviously, yeah. But realistically, the headphones remove the need to treat your room and you can mix anywhere. So in that sense, they're a lot more convenient and most likely cost effective as well. Now, one thing that headphones don't really have is what's called crossfeed. So think about you have two monitors, right? One on your left, one on your right, pointed at your ears. The left monitor goes to your left ear and the right monitor goes to your right ear, but that right monitor is also going to be heard by your left ear and vice versa. The left monitor is also going to be heard by your right ear. This is called crossfeed. When you have headphones, there is no crossfeed. It's left side going right into your left ear and your right ear is not hearing it and vice versa. The right side goes into your right ear and your left ear is not hearing it. So there is a difference in how we hear the sound and how we hear the stereo field. Now there is programs, maybe plugins, whatever, that can try to simulate this crossfeed in your headphones. I have not tried them personally, but I've heard some people say it's weird and they don't like it. Some people say it works great. So there is ways to try to combat it. I can't speak for the quality of it, but that is something to consider is most people when they're listening to your mixes are going to be listening on speakers, whether in a car, right, home stereo system, whatever. They're going to be listening with crossfeed. But while you're mixing in headphones, you might not have that crossfeed or it might not be the best, most comfortable, accurate recreation of it. So you have to consider this crossfeed when choosing between headphones and monitors. Now, is it the biggest deal in the world if you're working with headphones without crossfeed? No, you can still make it happen. You just have to be aware of this hurdle and work around it, and that's totally fine. But I just want to bring that up, something to consider when deciding between headphones and monitors. Some secondary, I'll call them, benefits to headphones are they're a minimal disturbance to others. If you have neighbors or roommates or people you live with, monitors can be pretty loud, right? And they can be disturbing. But if you work with headphones, realistically, nobody's going to hear that or complain about it. So you can work as late into the night or early into the morning, any time of day, anywhere you want realistically, and no one's going to be bothered by that. Whereas with monitors, that might be an issue for you. So that's something to consider. Further, headphones have the convenience of working anywhere. Like I said, some places are too noisy and it's going to be hard, but realistically speaking, you can work with headphones anywhere. right? If you have a laptop and headphones and you work that way, you could work anywhere you want. You could work on the road while you're on the go. You could work in the back of an Uber. But with monitors, you're kind of stuck where you are stationary, and it's, not as convenient in that sense. Further, a pair of headphones, even nice ones, is probably going to be cheaper overall than monitoring system with an entire room being treated. So headphones are in most cases more cost effective than monitors, especially if you have to treat the room. That can be extremely expensive, not to mention the cost of the monitors themselves. A good pair of headphones is, relatively speaking, pretty cheap in comparison. Some secondary cons, I'll call them, of headphones are they can be uncomfortable. So if you decide to go the headphone route, definitely consider comfortability when purchasing them, because you're going to be wearing them a lot, and that's a huge factor. Headphones can be pretty uncomfortable even with the most comfortable pair for certain people. So, monitors don't really have that issue. Further, a lot of headphones don't have a flat frequency response or even close to that. A lot of them are very bright, very bass heavy, different curves, and that's going to throw off your mixing. So you need to get used to it, or you need to find a good pair that works with you that is pretty flat. So finding a good pair of headphones that's comfortable and has a frequency response that's either pretty flat or that works for you, or you learn to work around, is really important. Make sure you learn a pair and get used to them. Also, they're not really ideal if you're working in a commercial studio or working in person with clients, right? You're working on their mix in headphones. They're not really hearing what's going on. That's not as ideal as having that old stereotype of the mix is coming through the room and the band hears it and they're able to work with you in real time or to hear it. So if you are going to be working with clients in person, you might want to consider monitors over headphones in that situation. And then finally, this is kind of nitpicking, but it's the last point that I want to touch on, is you can't get a different perspective in headphones, right? When your headphones are on, no matter where you walk around, you're getting the same perspective. But if you use monitors, you can move around in your chair closer, forward, left, right, walk around the room, go to another room, and get a different perspective on your mix. And while this is kind of, like I said, nitpicking, it can be a great way to get different perspectives to give you insight on your mix. Whereas with headphones, you're just in the center of the mix at all times, and you can't really control that. So if you feel like that's important to you, or at least somewhat of a consideration, you might want to consider monitors for that purpose. So that's really everything that I could think of to consider when choosing between monitors and headphones. Once again, to recap, it really comes down to your preference. If you work really great in headphones, you don't feel like you need to get monitors. And if you work great with monitors and you have a treated room and a setup that's not bothering anyone and it works for you, then you're good to go. Another thing a lot of people like to do is do both, that hybrid setup between monitors and headphones, and that gives you the best of both worlds realistically. But it really comes down to what makes the most sense to you. If you can't afford to treat a room, or you don't have a room to treat, go with headphones. If you're always on the go a lot, you probably want headphones. If you have a treated room and you can afford a nice pair of monitors, it would probably make more sense to go with monitors. So let me know down below, what is your setup looking like? What do you wish it was? I'd love to talk about that. If you stuck around this long, throw me a like, throw me a subscribe. Remember, I drop a video every day. So either way, I'll see y'all tomorrow, man. Inswain with Inswain Audio. Peace.